Welcome to Cherry Street Investor Education with Kavitha Baratakke, passive income coach and founder of Cherry Street Investments. Education that is designed for you to take control of your financial life. Join us to learn how you can create multiple passive income streams, diversify your portfolio, save on your taxes, and much more. Become a better investor and fast-track your financial goals. Here's your host, Kavitha Baratakke.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on making your passion your purpose. What are some of the things we need to do to convert that passion we have and make it purposeful, right? So frequently, I've found that in my own life, I tend to settle for less than because I'm sometimes at a crossroads where I feel like I have to take massive action, and there's so much inertia in my life that it's hard to make that change. I know that when I switched from my full-time job to my business, that was one of those moments of total inertia. It took me almost 2 years to get off my butt and actually do something about it when I knew I was unhappy. So one of the things which was really motivating me is I knew I was passionate about something else, but I didn't know how to create and actually do something about it. Or rather, I would say I was sort of at a standstill and thinking, okay, that's going to be a huge change. And I don't think as humans, we take change very well. So I'm here today and I'm excited to have Ajay Gupta, who's a leadership coach. He talks all over the world and he's been with the Tony Robbins Foundation since I think he started in this leadership and mentoring journey when he was a 9-year-old. So he's had a lot of time, as young as he is, he's had a lot of time to mentor people, to coach them, and to be their best self. So I'm really excited to have Ajay on here. And just a little bit about Ajay. He attended his first personal development event when he was just 9 years old. And he has since played a dynamic role with the Anthony Robbins coaching and speaking for 8 years through the international leadership programs. Ajay was also the national speaker and corporate trainer with Tony Robbins, having developed over 1,000 workshops in the areas of peak performance, leadership, and strategy across small businesses to Fortune 500 companies. In this webinar, Ajay will share tips and tricks, techniques, so you can learn, 1, how to have an unstoppable mindset, 2, gain confidence and certainty when you speak to clients and business associates, 3, what beliefs and patterns drive you and how to identify and change your limiting beliefs, and 4, set goals for achieving what you truly want in your life. I know I need that push sometimes. I think all of us do, because I frequently talk to clients and I feel like they really want to change and they don't really know how to make that change happen. And sometimes listening to someone like Ajay can really propel us. I know Tony Robbins and just being a part of the Tony Robbins network has been so important in my life. So I'm really excited to have Ajay on this call today. For those of you who don't know me, I think most of you guys do. I'm Kavitha Baratakke, founder and Infinity Banking Broker. I have a company called Cherry Street Investments. No particular disclaimers here. Since this is not a usual webinar I do on tax, legal, or investment advice, no particular disclaimers. Sorry, I have a little pop-up here. Let me just get rid of that. There are a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please type it in the Q&A box. A lot of people ask me if this webinar will be recorded. Yes, it will. I usually send out the recording within 24 hours. If you are on my YouTube channel and subscribe, you will get notified as soon as the recording is uploaded. Please whitelist my email so you can keep it from going to the spam folder. I wanted to cover quickly a few upcoming webinars I'll be hosting. April 13th, next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, I will be talking about our next multifamily investment offering webinar. For those of you who are on my investor list, you will get a notification by Saturday morning. Please watch out for it if you're looking for a great investment opportunity in Dallas. On Thursday, April 22nd, if you want to invest in Austin, and a lot of you folks want to, I have some insider secrets to share on how you can better invest in Austin and actually cash flow. On April 29th, we will be talking about what build-to-rent communities are, and you can learn more about these investments and what they entail. They're very different from single family or multifamily. They're kind of a hybrid between the two. So we have a speaker who will be talking about build-to-rent communities. On May 6th, we have Elisa Zhang. She'll be talking about roadmap to financial freedom. Elisa, like me and Elisa, we all financially freed ourselves, and I'm sure Ajay is there too. And what are some of the steps we took to financially free ourselves? Come listen to Elisa, and Elisa's got really concrete steps she talks about taking for this next, for moving towards financial freedom. We also have investing in short-term rentals. For those of you interested in running Airbnbs, how to systematize and create a process around that. Sandeep Nanda actually manages more than 25 Airbnbs, and he's really brought it down to a science where he barely spends time on these Airbnbs, and they kind of run and auto operate. So if you're interested, please join us every 2 Thursdays of the month. Sometimes, like you see in April, we have almost every Thursday booked out. We will be talking about investing, taxation, estate planning, and of course, I like to throw in topics like this because I think it's of interest to a lot of people. A lot of you folks know me. I'm not going to spend my time going through my resume. Just a quick highlight here. I love to educate people. I'm here to educate people. And I bring with me a lot of speakers who I know are passionate about reaching out to people and changing people's lives. So here we are with Ajay today. If you're ever looking for recordings, they're all on YouTube. You can go to Cherry Street Investor Education. I upload every single thing that I ever do in terms of content on here. Please subscribe so you can get auto notified of new uploads and content. I also have an investor group called Purely Passive. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time here. I'm going to hand it off to Ajay, and he doesn't need a presentation. He's just going to speak. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and Ajay, take it away.
Awesome. No, thank you so much. Such a beautiful presentation. And thank you, Kavitha, for this beautiful opportunity, and welcome everybody. I see a lot of you in the room. There's 39 of you, and please, my friends, if you do have any questions, I welcome all questions. There is no wrong question. There is no silly question. There is no, not so great question. Just so please do ask questions. I'm here to serve and support. So welcome everybody. My name is Ajay Gupta, and I've had the privilege of attending my very first personal development event. And it was 20 years ago, 9 years old. And it was by a guy named Mr. Anthony Robbins. And how many of you in this room listening are familiar with a guy named Tony Robbins? Just put a 1 in the chat right now, so I know that you're there, you're listening, you're alive. Put a 1 in the chat. Beautiful. Tiffany, Vish, Sanjay, wow, a lot of you are familiar with Tony Robbins. Beautiful. So on day 1 of Tony Robbins' events, he has on the live courses, he has everybody walk across 12 feet of 2,000-degree coals. And I remember when I was 9 years old, I remember saying to my parents, hey, what is this Tony Robbins event? But all I remember them saying was, you get to miss school, right? And as long as we get to miss school, that was the best thing about this event. And on day 1, we heard that we're going to be walking across fire. And when I was 9 years old, I was really excited. I said, okay, wow, this firewalk. And then it started to get more and more real as the day continued. And then when we started to walk outside and I could smell the fire burning, that's when fear hit me. And we all have fear, right? And all these voices inside my head started coming to my head. They said, AJ, you're too young to walk across fire. You're not strong enough. You're going to be the youngest person to die walking across coals. Why do your parents hate you so much that they're making you walk across fire at this young age? And all these thoughts came into my head. And then I remember standing in front of the coals, and I was like, holy cow. Negativity, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then all of a sudden, Tony puts his hand on my right shoulder and he says, are you ready? And I look up at Tony and he's 6'7", and I'm like this short Indian kid, 9 years old. And it's hard to say no to a man that's that tall. And I said to him, yes, I'm ready. And he said, look up and just say yes. Say yes, say yes, say yes. And I remember taking my first step, then my second step, then my third step. And what felt like a marathon, what felt like a long distance because I was so short and small, I remember feeling the cold, wet grass on the other side. And I turned around and I looked back at that fire. And I said to myself, if I could just walk across 2,000-degree coals barefoot, if I could just do that, what else could I do? And it just triggered something inside of me that's like, holy cow. Like if you could just walk across fire, I mean, that fire is just a metaphor, right? We all have fires in our life, right? Some of us may be going through a fire right now, but if we could do that, what else could we do? So like, we have videos of, me and my cousins hitting our chests at the age of 9, 10, 11 years old, telling ourselves we're simply the best, that we could do anything. If we can't, we must. And my family, my mum's dream was to always move to the United States. And when I was 12 years old, just before I turned 12, my mum went to a Date with Destiny event. How many of you have been to a Date with Destiny event? Put a 2 in the box right now if you've been to a Date with Destiny event, or you've heard of Date with Destiny. That's right, Sherry, Kavitha, absolutely. So my mum went to this Date with Destiny event in South Carolina or in North Carolina. I can't remember which one it was. And her dream was to always move to America. And the day she came back to London after the event, she said to my dad, honey, we're taking the kids, we're moving to Orlando. And we've been there ever since. But it wasn't until when I was 15 years old, the direction of my life completely changed. I was going through a very tough time at the age of 15, right? In terms of, some of you may be asking, how can you have a tough time at the age of 15? I'm talking about bullying at school, right? I didn't get along well with, the people at school, definitely a lot of bullying and just, all sorts of things. And I was very confused and I really didn't know what to do. And I remember I saw an advertisement that said Tony Robbins was coming to Orlando. And we were living in Orlando at the time. And I ran into my dad's office. I said, Dad, Tony is coming to Orlando. We must go. I have to go. And he said, okay, you can go, but you have to find your own way there. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm 15 years old. Like, you're my dad. You're supposed to support me. Please help me. It's $1,000. He says, son, if you want to go, you have to find your own way there. And then I started to ask better questions. Because my friends, the quality of the questions you ask will determine the quality of the answers you get. So I started to say to myself, okay, how can I go? How can I raise this $1,000? One of the things that came into my mind was selling lemonade, right? So I went into my sister's room. I said, hey, I need your help. Every day after school, we're going to go and sell lemonade downtown in the town that we live in because I need to raise money for charity, for this event. And she said, okay. So with our mum's help, we started to sell lemonade in the town that we lived. And I realized how difficult it is to earn money. And then 6 weeks later, I came across the Anthony Robbins Foundation. And the Anthony Robbins Foundation sponsors kids between the ages of 13 to 17 to attend the event as long as one of your parents go with you. And I applied for this scholarship and I got it. But one quote at this entire event, because I was at this event, I was searching for life's answers. I was like, I'd never want to be bullied again. I never want to live through this shit. I want answers. I want answers. I want answers. And I was trying to find all the answers. And one quote changed the entire direction of my life. And I want you to please write this quote down. Wherever you are, get a pen and paper. I'll give you 20 seconds to get a pen and paper. And if you don't have a pen and paper, write it down on your phone, because this quote changed the entire direction of my life. And my friends, while you're getting this pen and paper, while you're getting this notebook or your phone, if you do have a question anytime, please feel free to write it in the chat. Any question. So the quote was this: the secret to living is giving. Someone just typed that into the chat so I know you got it. The secret to living is giving. And I remember saying to myself, what does that mean? Man, here I am, like, okay, that is it. The secret to living is giving. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And the next thing Tony Robbins said, he said, if you don't give and grow, you die. not physically, but mentally and emotionally. My friends, if we mentally and emotionally die, we might as well be physically dead too. And that's what I did. I started to give, and I started to grow. And I started to give. I gave. I didn't have money to give, so I was like, what can I give? If we don't have money, what can I give? Time. Time is the most valuable thing in the world. Nobody can ever give back your time. You cannot buy more time. It is the most valuable thing in the world, and we'll get to that a little bit later. So I started to just give my time. I started to volunteer at organizations. I became president of the National Honor Society. I became president of student government. I even became president of science club, even though I hated science. Bit stupid, but it was an opportunity for me to give. Any opportunity I found, I wanted to give. And I built that muscle, and it is a muscle of giving. I graduated my high school with a 4.5 GPA with, I think, 352 hours of community service. You only need 75 to graduate in the state of Florida because all I wanted to do was give. I became, there was only one individual they chose for the entire school district to represent all 26 high schools in our district. And that was me, because my focus was, how can I serve every single student in our district? Fast forward, I left. After graduated high school, my passion was to travel, and I love making a difference. And I attended a very private Tony Robbins business event just for platinum partners. And there was 100 people in this room in Palm Springs. It was a 5-day event. And I remember, did the bullying stop? We'll get to that in a second, actually. The bullying didn't stop. Great question, Sherry. The bullying didn't stop, but how I interpreted the bullying changed. The meaning I gave to the bullying changed. And I said to myself, as long as I grow every single day, I don't care. Let them bully me, as long as it doesn't affect me, because I didn't let it mean anything. What I made it mean is, if they're bullying me, that means that they're just missing a piece of love in their life, and I'm that person that can give them their life, that love back to them. And it wasn't always like this. There were times where the bullying got real bad, and I had to, I was upset, but I didn't let myself to be upset for too long, because I knew what the truth was. And actually, it's funny you asked that question. One of the kids that used to bully me in high school actually picks up the trash from my family's home in Orlando, the same town we lived in when we were younger. He picks up the trash from our house twice a week, and he knows I live there. He sees me, and we acknowledge that relationship, and he knows. But it just goes to show that, focus on what you believe in, focus on the truth, stand up for yourself, and stand up to what's true. That's what I did. And so anyway, I was at the back of at this Tony Robbins event, and I went up to Tony. He's on his laptop, and I said, "Tony, brother, I have a question for you. Do you mind if I ask you a question?" And he puts his laptop down, he puts it on the table, and he said, "AJ, sure, what's your question?" I said, "Tony, brother, you've seen everything I do. I've been to all your events, and I just graduated high school, and I have the option to go to college, or do you think I should start my own business and start coaching and do what I love to do?" And he said, "AJ, I've seen what you do. I know what you do. Go and do what you love to do. Don't go to university." My dad said the same thing. And in my head, I'm like, how could I not go to university? I have to go to university. I have to get that degree. So I emailed all 6 of the universities I got into. I said, "Look, my name is Ajay Gupta. I want to travel the entire world for 1 year. I want to learn a new language. I want to speak to all these children in all these different countries. And then I want to come back to your university the following year and then study economics." And only one out of the 6 universities got back to me and said, "AJ, we love that idea. You can do that." And I took a gap year, and that's what I did. It was the University of Florida. So I spent 6 months in England volunteering at a homeless shelter. And then the other 6 months, I had the privilege of traveling all around the world. I taught monks English and maths in the mountains in Nepal for 6 weeks, and traveled to Singapore, Dubai, Australia, all around the world. And it was the best education I could have ever given myself. And I went back to University of Florida and I was studying economics. And after 2 years, I realized I wasn't growing. I wasn't growing as an individual. And when I wasn't growing, it was causing me so much pain. And I didn't want to be in pain. So I decided to leave university. I decided to drop out. And as an Indian, to tell his Indian parents that he's going to drop out of the university, it was a very tough thing to do. So I remember calling my parents. I said, Dad, Mom, I have some bad news, right? As I just made the decision, and I already made the decision. I already signed the paperwork. And by the way, when I went to the counselor's office to tell him I'm dropping out, he was so surprised, because we had a great relationship and he knew the work that I did, that he was like, bro, firstly, don't do it. But he gave me 3 years. He's like, AJ, we'll give you 3 years. If you ever change your mind, you have 3 years to come back and you don't have to start again. So anyway, I called my parents and said, hey, I want you to sit down, and I've decided to leave university. And my mum was very upset, and my dad said, it's about time. And he said, as long as you do one thing, he's okay with me leaving. And I said, what is that? And he said, as long as you grow mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. If you do those 4 things, you can leave. So that's what I did. I left university and then I started to grow. I started to read books. I started to work out. I was 35 pounds heavier than I am now. I started to work out. I started to look after my health. I started to, take control of my life, and I wanted to grow every single day. And I was attending a UPW, and I was volunteering. At that time, I'd probably volunteered at 25, 30 events. And I was standing in the back of the room, and Tony's wife came up to me and she's like, AJ, we love your enthusiasm. We love your passion. We want you to come work with us. And I said to her, Sage, I would love to come work with you. I had no idea what I was going to be doing. And I said, what am I going to be doing? And she said, you're going to be speaking for Tony. And yes, UPW is Unleash the Power Within. And I was like, I've never spoken to anybody in my entire life. And she said, AJ, who is the best speaker you know? And I was like, I hope this isn't a trick question, but I said, it's Tony. And she said, you've been modeling him, you've been watching him your entire life. And I was like, She said, you do everything he does. Just model him, do everything he does. And that's what I did. I started to model Tony. I started to watch the way he spoke, the way he stood, the way he spoke, the way he delivered his message. And I became a national speaker with Tony Robbins, and I did over 1,000 talks with Tony Robbins for almost 4 years. I was his go-to speaker for all his platinum partnership, all his platinum partners all around the United States. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful experience. And the role of the position was a national speaking position, but what the role was actually to invite people to do a 1-hour workshop in the areas of peak performance, leadership, and mindset mastery. And the goal was to invite people to his Unleash the Power Within event. And a good speaker, there's only 5 or 6 speakers, a good speaker would typically get 100 people to the event in 4 months. A great speaker would get 150, an outstanding speaker 250. And consistently, myself and one other individual were getting 300 to 350 people to an event every single time. And there was a point during my career when Tony Robbins, when I wasn't growing, right? I reached a point where I was like, I love speaking, but I wasn't growing. I hit a plateau. And then I said to Tony, I want something more. And he said, AJ, if you get 500 people to my event, I will let you introduce me in front of the Unleash the Power Within. And there's only been one other person in the last 37 years that's ever introduced Tony Robbins. And he had 6 months to do it, 500 people. And they said, AJ, you can get 500 people to the event. We'll introduce you. And by the way, you have 11 weeks to do it. 11 weeks. And out of those 11 weeks, one of those weeks I spent with Sir Richard Branson on his private island with my dad. But who I became in those 10 or 11 weeks was this completely different person. It wasn't about getting 500 people to the event, because I knew, and Tony told me, that once you get to the event, their life will change. So it wasn't, for me, it wasn't about 500 tickets. It was about 500 lives being changed. And in those 10 weeks, I was able to change and invite over 500 people to that event. And I invited Tony Robbins, and at that time was the largest Unleash the Power Within event in the history of the United States, just over 10,000 people. So there's many things that I've learned along the way. After working with Tony Robbins, and I've spent time with Sir Richard Branson, and I've had the privilege of inviting people to have private sessions with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. One quote changed the entire direction of my life, and that was the secret to living is giving, my friends. The more we can give without wanting anything in return, the more joyous and beautiful our life becomes. So one question that has really fascinated me the most over the last 5-10 years is, what is the difference that makes a difference in human beings? What is the difference that really makes a difference? Let me give an example. Imagine you have two people working for the same company, okay? Two agents, let's pick real estate, for example. Two realtors working for the same real estate company in the same city, in the same area. One realtor in this office be producing outstanding results, closing more houses than anyone in the entire city, closing more houses than anyone in the entire office. While a realtor in the same office, in the same city, sitting in the desk right next to them, produce very little or nothing at all. Or better yet, why do some people have loving, amazing, passionate, intimate relationships? They literally cannot wait to drive home to spend time with their significant other. And then you have other people in this world, they're always in and out of one, or they can never seem to find one. Or better yet, why do some people, it doesn't matter how much time they seem to not have in the day, right? But they always find the time to go to the gym. They eat right, they work out, they have tons of energy 6 days a week. And then you have other people in this world always find the time that they can't, or they can never find the time, or they can't find the time to even go 6 times a year, right? And if you're laughing, you're probably guilty, right? I am guilty of that sometimes too, absolutely. Well, my friend, do you find some people in this world that no matter what life throws at them, whether it's cancer, whether it's an illness, whether it's a flood that sweeps through your entire community, or a hurricane for those that you live in Texas, right? A hurricane or a tornado rips through your entire city, takes everything. And you have some people always find a reason why they can do something. And then you have other people in this world always find a reason why they can't. So what is the difference and makes the difference between those two individuals? Please write your answer down in the chat. What do you think? What is the difference that makes that difference? Mindset, 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 mindset. Determination, absolutely. What else? Positive thinking, commitment, absolutely. Purpose, priorities, right? Then absolutely. Grateful, gratitude, giving, positive thinking. Those reasons are correct. I agree too. But there's one other answer that drives every single one of your answers. And I want you to write this down. And you all know it. And this is just a friendly reminder. We call it our BS, your BS. Okay? And this is just your belief system. See, we all have belief systems. And a belief, my friends, is just a feeling of absolute certainty that you and I have about something. It's just a feeling of absolute certainty. Okay, and there are 2 types of beliefs. How many types of beliefs? Type it in the chat so I know you're awake. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, shake the energy wherever you are. How many belief systems are there? 2. Thank you, Nitin. Thank you, Tiffany. 2 types of beliefs. The first type of beliefs, these are called limiting beliefs. Limiting. And limiting beliefs, they stop you from taking massive action. They prevent you from getting everything you want to do, everything you want to be, and everything you want to truly achieve in life, right? Give me an example of a limiting belief. Anybody write in the chat, what is a limiting belief? Give me an example. A couple limiting beliefs that I have was I'm not good enough. I am not strong enough. I am too young. I can't do it. Absolutely. I sound stupid. I don't have the money. I need the money. I'm too old. I'm not old enough. Absolutely. Those beliefs, I don't have the time. those beliefs stop you from taking massive action. They prevent you from getting everything you want to do, everything you want to be, and everything you want to truly achieve in life. I call those belief systems our dream killers. Dream killers. Now, the second type of belief, these are the ones that we love. And these beliefs are called empowering or positive beliefs. And empowering beliefs are, I am strong. I am good enough. I am full of love. I am amazing. I am the best. I am at the perfect age. I am lovable. And those beliefs allow us to take massive action. Now, we all have negative beliefs and empowering beliefs. But how many of those beliefs, out of those beliefs that you have, how many of those do you practice more every single day? Now, let me share with you how powerful a belief system is. This is how powerful a belief system is. True story. So for almost 2,000 years, some of you may know this story, others, beautiful story you need to know. So for almost 2,000 years, every single human living on this planet Earth said it was impossible to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Okay. Many people tried, everyone failed. And it came to my attention a couple years ago that countries, literally countries around the world, would be competing against other countries to see who could run that mile in 4 minutes. Nobody could do it. Check this out. Okay. They would strap horses like animals to human beings so they could try to run faster around the track. Nobody could still run that mile in 4 minutes. Doctors and scientists finally came together. So all these countries, they got the finest doctors and scientists from all these different countries. And they said, how can we run this mile in under 4 minutes? And all these doctors and scientists came together. And by the way, doctors and scientists are people with authority, people, figures that we look up to and we trust, right? Everything they say we believe because they are, right? They're with authority, they're scientists, they're doctors. So all these doctors came together and they said that if any individual runs a mile in under 4 minutes, the inside of the heart, the chambers in the heart would explode into pieces and you'll die instantly. That was the belief. So not only did these runners say, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I can't do it, nobody in the world is ever doing it, my legs are not strong enough, I'm too weak, I'm not tall enough, whatever it is. Now they're saying to themselves, well, the doctors are telling us that if we even if we do it, we're going to freaking die. Our heart's going to explode into pieces and we'll die. Right? It's hilarious. Now imagine you had that belief about making the money you truly deserve to make, or the relationship you want to have, or the body you've always wanted to have. Until one man in 1954, not only did he visualize himself running that mile in under 4 minutes, but he did it. And his name was Roger Bannister. And my friends, when Roger Bannister ran that mile in 1954 in under 4 minutes, and he survived and he thrived, within 2 years, not 2,000, not 200, not 20, within 2 years, 27 people broke his record. How? Why? Because they knew it could be done, but they changed and destroyed that belief system about dying. So what does that mean for every single one of us, my friends? Change your belief system, change your life. If there are other people doing it, you can too. The reason why you're not getting the results you truly want in your life, my friends, is the story you tell yourself up here as to why you can't have it. Change your story, my friends, and you change your life. Become aware tonight when you go home after this call, write down the truth, write down your belief system, write down the truth about who you are. And the truth is, every single one of us in this room, we're full of love. We're full of joy. We're full of giving. We're full of love. We're full of happiness. And when we focus on that and we focus on our greatness, we as human beings, we could do extraordinary things. Extraordinary things. So Kavitha, if you have any questions, I'll stop here for a couple minutes to answer any questions, or if anybody has a question, please.
There are a few questions here.
Cool.
So I think this is very pertinent because Anonymous asks, what is your advice to those who feel late to the game?
Which game are we talking about?
I don't know, game of life.
Well, nobody's late to the game. See, one of the secrets to life, my friends, is to grow every single day. See, progress equals happiness. If we are making progress every single day, we will be happy. So a lot of people I'm 29 years old. Okay, so I started personal development 20 years ago. And one of the biggest questions, or one of the biggest things people come up to me and they said, I wish I had what you knew at my age. I wish I had known what you knew at my age. And you know what? It frustrates me at times when people ask that or say that, because if they knew what I knew at their age, they wouldn't have the experiences that they've had. Because my friends, every experience that you've had, the good, the bad, and the ugly, has allowed you to be who you are today. See, Norman Vincent Peale said something very interesting. He said, the only people that don't have problems in life are the people in a cemetery, which tells me that problems are a sign of life. Now, my friends, if you look at every single problem that you've had in your life, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the effing ugly, and the really ugly, and I know every single one of you have been through pain. I know that. I've been through extreme pain. We've all been through pain. We've all been through winters in our life. Some of us maybe still be in the winter, but understand that what always comes after winter is spring, that this too shall pass. But every problem that you've had in your life has allowed you to be who you are today. And you can find gratitude in and if you can find gratitude in every single problem that you've had and find the lesson in every single problem that you had, then there is no problem, there is no failure. And I guarantee you, if you look at some of the biggest problems that you've had in your entire life in the past, I guarantee you 95% of the time you wouldn't trade that for anything else because of who you became as a result of that problem or issue. See, my friends, it's not what happens in life, it's who we become. It's not about the money, it's not about the cars, I've had all of that shit. I've had the fast cars, I've had the privilege of going on private jets for years. I've done all of that stuff. And it's okay for the moment, but it doesn't give you happiness long term. And what gives us happiness long term, my friends, is one, is when we grow, but two is when we give to other people. And when we can give to other people without wanting anything in return, that's when our life becomes joyous. And so when we can grow every single day, and when we become a better individual, when we become a stronger individual every single day, that's the most important thing about life, my friends. It's who we become on this beautiful journey. So no one is late to the game. No one is late to the game because there is no perfect timing, right? You are in the game of life. That's it. You are in it. And right now is the perfect time. Right now.
I love that, Ajay. I know I'm one of those who always says, I wish I had found Tony Robbins earlier. I wish this and that, but you're right. The trouble and all the pain and challenges I've gone through have changed me in a way that I don't think I would ever want to undo that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Soumya asked another interesting question. Giving at work has led me to feel exploited and burnt out. How does one know when to give and when to pull back? Or should you just get away from people and places that exploit?
Yeah, that's a great question. Who asked that question?
Soumya.
Soumya? Okay, beautiful question, my dear. Okay, so here's the key. Now, we as human beings will do more for other people than we'll ever do for ourselves. That's a fact. Okay, every single one of us in this room, we will do more for other people than we'll ever do for ourselves. the key to not burning out is self-care and self-love. See, a lot of people think loving themselves and taking care of themselves first is selfish, but it's actually selfless. Because we all know that when you go on a plane and they say when oxygen masks come down and cabin pressure loses, the first thing you do is put the oxygen mask on who first? On you. Because if you can't serve you, you won't be able to serve other people. So I call it AJ time. Okay, you can call it Kavitha time, you can call it Samya time, you can call it Aditya time, whatever it is for you, you can call it your time. And this is my time in the morning. So when I wake up for the first 2 hours, I give myself those 2 hours where I wake up. Firstly, I wake up and I'm grateful to waking up, because as silly as it sounds, there are some people that did not wake up today. I've had friends in the last year who did not wake up in the last year. So if we can find gratitude in just waking up, it will set us up for the rest of the day, right? So one is be grateful for waking up. Two is drink an entire glass of water and then have juice, celery juice. My friends, if you have 16 to 32 ounces of celery juice in the morning, it reduces all the inflammation and toxins in your body. This is one of the best things you could do for yourself and your energy. Then work out, whatever it is for you. And if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, do some stretching, yoga, do something, right? For me, it's insanity, right? But it never used to be insanity because I was never that fit, but it gradually took step by step to get to that place. But whatever it is for you, you have to work out. Ladies in the room, listen to music, do what you love to do, right? Do your salt baths, right? Whatever you love to do, this is what you have to do. And set yourself up in the morning for 2 hours, an hour and a half to do things for you, AJ time. Because when you take care of yourself first in the morning, you can take care of everybody else. And when you take care of yourself first, there is no time for burnout, right? You won't get burnt out because you're taking care of you first. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Samya, let us know if that makes sense to you. Awesome. Bharat says, okay, we have another question here.
And by the way, and see, I'm a yes person as well, right? So if you are a yes person and you love to say yes to everything, just understand that sometimes, when you're saying no to someone, you're not actually saying no to them, you're saying no to the offer. And when you're saying no to them, you're actually saying yes to you. And it's okay to say yes to you sometimes as well. So say yes to you, because when you say yes to you, you're actually giving yourself the ability to say yes to other people.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely, Vish.
And I think, coming from an Asian culture, one of the things I had really a trouble with was understanding the idea of self-love and self-care, because it felt like when I wasn't doing for others, I was being selfish. And
Yeah.
I think, Ajay, you really pointed out that one thought, right? It is important to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And I really love that.
Guys, I've learned it the hard way. Okay. I've learned it the most difficult way, one of the most difficult way. So a couple of years ago, so after I left Tony Robbins, I started my own coaching and speaking, and I do a lot of traveling. Prior to COVID, I did 75 to 90 flights a year, right? Every 3 days I was on a flight. And a couple of years ago, I was a dear friend of mine. He's a professional tennis player. He plays men's doubles at Wimbledon, and I was his coach. And so I was flying all around the United States and got invited to Kevin Hart's birthday party. Right, my family and I, we took a jet to Miami. We spent time with him, and then literally the next day, I was flying to London to coach my friend in Wimbledon. And I flew to London, and I got out, went to Wimbledon, and I started experiencing very severe lower back pain, very severe. And I took some pills, and I continued coaching, and that day I was like, bro, I have to go home. It's really painful. So I went home that day and didn't think anything of it. I thought it was just the way I slept on the plane. And the next day I woke up, went to Wimbledon, and at 2 p.m., severe pain, absolute severe pain, came back home to my grandfather's house. And midnight that night, I was curled up in a ball in a fetal position. And I said to my grandfather, I was like, I have to go to the hospital. Like, I have to go. I've never experienced this much pain before, my lower back. And so we're in London, and everything is the NHS. So, you know, there's a long wait, and we show up at the ER, and we're there for 2 hours. And then we're there for another hour. 3 hours go by, and I'm in excruciating pain. And I'm just like, I tell my grandfather, I'm like, bro, let's just go home. And he's like, you know, my grandfather gave me that look. He said, shut up, son, and just sit there, right? Be patient, right? Infinite patience produces immediate results, my friends. Remember that, by the way. Powerful. Infinite patience produces immediate results. And they called my name. And I got up and I went into the room and I just told them, hey, I have lower back pain. And she took my bloods and she took my urine. And she didn't say anything, but she's like, we're checking you in. And for 24 hours, they didn't really tell me anything. And I got transferred to a different hospital. And I found out that my kidneys were operating at a 27%. My kidneys were absolutely fried. And I remember at the hospital, and you know, I was in great shape. Physically, I was in great shape, but on the inside, I drained my entire system because I didn't take care of myself. And I got a call. It was the night before I was getting a biopsy done. It was the night before a biopsy. I got a call from a friend of mine in Texas, and she lives in Dallas, and she calls me, and out of nowhere, she says, AJ, is everything okay? I said, yeah, everything's okay, Shannon. Now I'm great. And then she says, hey, AJ, is everything okay? And I said, well, no, Shannon, I'm actually in the hospital at the moment. And she said, AJ, is it your kidneys? True story. No bullshit. And I was like, how did you know? I mean, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't post it on Facebook. My close family members knew I was in hospital. And she's like, she read the energy. She said, I know it's your kidneys. For some people, it's their back. For some people, it's their heart. For some people, with their emotions, it's the kidneys, whatever. And for me, it was the kidneys. She said, AJ, you need to just be there for you. And she said, if you do this exercise, I promise you, it'll help. And I said, what is the exercise? She said, AJ, I want you to put one hand on your heart, and I want you to put the other hand on your back where the pain is, where your kidneys are. And all I want you to do is just be present to your body. And let your body know that you're there for it. And let your body know that you're sorry for treating the body the way that you have been and not giving it the attention it needs. And at the time, it sounded so weird. And she said, AJ, just promise me you'll do it. And I did it. I remember sitting there and I filled my whole body with gratitude. And I was so present. And I said, I'm sorry for treating you the way I treated you. I'm sorry for pushing you the way I pushed you. I'm sorry for not resting. And I did this exercise for 2.5 hours. I was bawling out in tears, and just tears and tears and tears and tears. I've never cried so much in my entire life. And I was just so present to my body. And then I called her. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I called her and I said, Shannon, I just finished this exercise. And she said, AJ, you haven't even started. She said, do it again. So I did it again, another 2.5 hours of bawling out. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Now I feel like I'm a completely new person. Like mentally, I feel that way because I just forgiven. And the next day, the surgeon came in. They took one biopsy, and he's like, "Oh, this isn't good enough." And then he took another one, and then he took another one, and they took 4 biopsies that day. And every single one of them came back inconclusive. And to this day, they have no idea what happened. So, my friends, you have to look after yourself. Don't wait for a diagnosis before you take control of your health. Health and relationships are the most 2 important things in life, my friends. Look after yourself. Because when you look after yourself, and it's not a selfish thing, it's a selfless thing. When you are able to look after yourself, you're able to look after the people around you.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Right. What's your advice on how to balance giving along with managing work, life, health, and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, look, the way I do things is I schedule my days, right? I schedule, every day is scheduled by the half an hour, an hour, right? So I have my time where in the morning where I do the things that I want to do. I have my time for my coaching clients. I have my time. I'm on the board of directors for 2 charities in India, so I have my time every week scheduled for those things, and I allocate my time accordingly. I'm very careful who I say yes to and who I say no to. So, at the end of the day, we can give, but we will get burnt out. So it's really like, ask yourself, how much time would you like to spend on every single area, and ask yourself ask yourself, what is it generates? Like, is it really giving you the joy and passion that it needs? And if it's not, then maybe allocate some time somewhere else. But, schedule your time. Time is the most valuable thing in the world. Every hour of your time is valuable, right? So really schedule your time and get crystal clear on how you use your time every single day.
Good point. Right. Another question is, how do you change your beliefs?
Great question. So repetition is the mother of skill, right? Repetition. If we say to ourselves, see, what we focus on is what we get. If we, I'll give you an example. If a 5-year-old has a belief that says, I am stupid, right? Or I'm dumb, for example, and they have this belief in their head, and then they go out and they say something and someone says, oh, that's not right. Then that belief that they had about them not being smart enough or good enough gets reinforced. Another muscle is built. Then another experience will show up because their belief, they will start finding experiences that match their belief. And they will say, oh yeah, that's right. I'm not smart enough because, oh yeah, I've got a C on that exam. There we go. It's another muscle. I'm not smart enough. And then year after year, you build that muscle over and over again, and you've trained your muscle, that belief system in your brain that says you're not smart enough, you're not smart enough, you're not smart enough. The same way is true for empowering beliefs. We all have great empowering beliefs, but which one is going to win, right? I always use this example. Let's say you've got 2 wolves, okay? One wolf is on the left shoulder, and the left shoulder wolf is always looking to achieve great things. This wolf is looking to help people. This wolf is looking to grow. This wolf is always looking to give and contribute and to always make a difference. That's the left wolf, helping other people, telling itself how amazing it is. Then you've got a wolf on the right shoulder, and this wolf is always negative, always bringing people down, always, stopping people from getting everything they want, and just negative. My friends, which wolf will win the game of life? The left wolf or the right wolf? Which one? Just post it in the chat, please, if you would. Which wolf will win the game of life?
The one you feed.
Left, yeah. The one you feed. Absolutely. That is all. So how do you develop stronger belief systems? Just feed the stronger belief system. Put post-it notes in your bathroom mirror that says how amazing you are. Tell yourself how amazing you are. It's okay to look in the mirror after you shower and tell yourself how beautiful you are, because every single one of you are beautiful the way you are, right? Tell yourself these things. It's not a silly thing to do, whatever it takes for you to build that muscle, because this is your life, my friends. This is your life. Okay, even if you have to do it 10, 20, 50 times a day, whatever it takes. Because when you build that muscle strong enough, that's all you will believe. And when you start to believe these things, you will start to find things around your life that will make that belief system true. And it changes everything. It changes everything. I have time for a couple more questions.
I'm already making my post-it.
Yeah.
All right. Couple questions, folks. Questions. Any other questions for Ajay?
Otherwise, I have one story that I'll leave on. That's quite powerful. If anybody has any other questions, please do ask. Now's the time. Yeah. So one story, and by the way, Kavitha, thank you so much for this. It was such a beautiful, beautiful time. I really enjoyed it. Love spending time with you and everybody here. Back to the secret to living is giving. You know, I've always, you know, I've written a book. It's going to be coming out soon. It's called The Secret to Living is Giving, and it really just shows people that you don't have to give a lot of money to give. You can give a smile, you can give a compliment, you can give a hug, you can pay it forward by, you know, buying a coffee for someone at Starbucks. But one day I was living in Tampa, Florida, and it was a couple of weeks before Christmas, and I decided to buy a bunch of food and water from the local store. And I posted something on Facebook that said, tomorrow morning I'm going to go out and deliver food and water to the homeless people around downtown Tampa. I lived in Tampa at that time. And if anybody can come join me, come help. And I had quite a lot of following in the Tampa Bay area. So, you know, it was a reasonable post to post. And the next day I woke up, I was so excited. I remember getting out of bed and I checked my Facebook, and I don't remember the number of likes I got. It was quite substantial. But I do remember the number of people that said, yes, AJ, we would love to come help you. And that number was 0. And I remember calling my best friend. I was like, Tom, bro, if you're in Tampa, I could really use some help. I just bought $200-300 worth of food at Walmart. And I said, please, can you help me? And he said, AJ, I'll be there in half an hour. So Tom came, and we all he got in my car, and we started driving around downtown Tampa. And if anybody's been to downtown Tampa on any normal given day, there are homeless people everywhere, right? Everywhere. But then the day we want to give back, has anybody noticed that? The day you want to help someone or give back, they're just not there, right? They just disappeared. And so we started driving around the same block, and we found the same people. And then we finally got to this red traffic stop, and there was this police car that pulled up next to us. And I said to Tom, I was like, Tom, I'm putting down your window. Ask that officer to roll down his window. And he's like, he looks so scared. He looks so nervous. And I said, Tom, do you trust me? He said, yes, AJ, I trust you. I said, okay, ask him to put down his window. And he puts down his window, and I said, officer, my name is AJ. And this is my brother, Tom. And we have a bunch of food and water we want to give to the homeless, but we just can't find anybody else to give it to. And I'll never forget, he got out of his car and he came to the window of the car and he said, thank you for everything you do. And I was like, no, brother, thank you for everything you do. Every day you're on the streets, like protecting us, making sure that we're safe. Thank you. And he said, no, thank you. And he said, AJ and Tom, if you go down the street and you turn left, there's a church. I guarantee you there'll be homeless people outside the church. So we started driving towards the church, and we found 2 homeless men outside this church. The first man we approached, I said, brother, are you hungry? He said, no. And I said, are you thirsty? He said, no. The second man we approached, I said, are you hungry? He said, yes. And then out of nowhere, Tom asks him this question. He says, why are you homeless? Interesting question. Because at least in the United States, not everybody is born homeless. Everyone has a story. And this man, his name was Randy, he had a beautiful story. And Randy was living in Tampa with his wife and his kids. They were making $150,000 or $120,000 a year. Business was in her name. Everything was in her name. After years of arguing and bickering, they ended up getting a divorce. Like I said, everything was in her name, and she took everything. And after a couple of years, he became homeless. And one day he got invited to have McDonald's, and he was at McDonald's and he went to use a restroom. And one of the employees came up to him and said, excuse me, sir, you smell, you stink. You cannot use a restroom. This is for paid customers only. And Randy said, I am a paid customer. My friend bought me my meal. I'm just using the restroom. The employee said, no, sir, you stink. You smell, you're homeless. Get out of our restaurant. Things got a little bit physical. Randy got a knife and stabbed the guy in the arm. Police came, paramedics came. They took Randy to prison. Guy went to hospital. Randy spent a couple years in jail. And when he came out, back on the streets. And one day he was sitting on a park bench, and this fellow homeless man came up to him. Things started to get a little bit physical. They started shouting. Things got a little bit more physical. And this fellow homeless man actually got out a knife and stabbed Randy in the back. 1 year after that incident, Randy found God, and he learned how to forgive. Because my friends, forgiveness is the express pathway to freedom. The more we can forgive ourselves and other people, the more freedom we'll have in our life. And he became a homeless man that helps homeless people. And every single day, Monday through Friday, he feeds other homeless men and women outside this church. And one day he was feeding the men and women, and this man comes up to him holding a plate, and he's shaking the plate like this. He's like, "Don't you know who I am? Don't you want to kill me?" And he says it again. He's like, "Don't you know who I am? Don't you want to kill me?" And Randy says, "I know who you are. I forgave you." It was the man that stabbed Randy a year ago. And it just brought tears to my eyes, and it's bringing tears to my eyes now because I'm so present to that story. And I said to him, I was like, "Brother Randy," I was like, "Bro, what is one piece of advice you would give me?" I was 23 years old at the time. And there was no hesitation out of this man's mouth. He said, "AJ and Tom, I sit on these steps every single day, Monday through Friday. And I see people coming, running up and down these streets on their phones, on their iPods, on their AirPods, all this shit. Not one of them stop and appreciate the wind rustling through the trees. Not one of them stop and appreciate the clouds going through the sky." He says, "Life goes by like this." He says, "Appreciate everything you have." I'll leave by saying this quote: "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift." My friends, today is a gift. The best gift you can give anybody in life is the gift of presence. And just be present to what we have around you and be grateful. If we trade our expectations for appreciations, our entire world changes. Thank you.
It's beautiful, Ajay. Thank you. Ajay, sorry, there are a few more questions here before we sign off, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thank you for sharing that story. It's really powerful. And I think we're all guilty of this with all our devices, of not being present. I know I am. Shrikant asks, what is your advice on maintaining relationships versus avoiding negative people?
Oh, sorry. What was your advice on avoiding?
Sorry.
On relationships, right? Advice on relationships. Look, my advice on relationships is this, right? Unconditional love. Just give unconditional love, my friends, to everybody around you. And what does that mean? Just love without wanting anything in return. Relationships, every relationship in your life should be 100-100, not 50-50, no transaction. I will love you no matter what you do, and no matter what you do, I'll still love you. And when we give unconditional love to people around us, we will get that back. And if we don't, we don't. It's okay. If there are certain people in your life that they drain you and they take energy away from you, you don't spend time with those people, because who you spend time with is who you become. And it's okay to let go of people in your life. You're not forgetting them. You're just giving yourself the time you need to work on yourself. And they will appreciate it more as well, because your time is valuable.
Rishi asks, how do you overcome self-doubt which stops you from taking action?
Yeah, so great question. See, again, what you focus on is what you get. If you focus on the doubt and you focus on you can't do it and all this stuff, you will get more and more of that, right? We've all done stuff where we're like, we've done something and we're like, oh yeah, that was me. I did it, right? And you're so proud, and you're like over the moon. You're like, I did it. I knew I could do it. And then there are times where it's the complete opposite. So it really goes down to what you focus on is what you get. Just focus on the truth. Focus on how great you are. Focus on that you're here to grow. And even if you fail, there is no fail if you learn from every situation, right? So just tell yourself, great. Like, for example, if we're all, wherever you are right now, if you say to yourself, I feel outstanding, wherever you are right now, just say it right now out loud, full of energy. I feel outstanding. Say it 3 times fast. Go.
I feel outstanding.
Louder. Go.
I feel outstanding. Nobody
Louder.
else.
One more time. Go. It's fine.
I
We're all
feel
doing it.
outstanding.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, how do you feel in that moment right now?
Outstanding.
Yeah. So even if you didn't feel outstanding and you said it and you did it with full enthusiasm, it changes the biochemistry in your body, right? So that's all you have to do. Even if you have to fake it till you make it, whatever it takes. But when you keep telling yourself over and over again, it'll disrupt the negative pattern in your head. And that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Disrupt that pattern and tell yourself the truth. And when you say to yourself over and over again, you will start to feel outstanding. And it changes. It literally changes the biochemistry in your body.
That's amazing. I know that, after watching Tony, there was times when I doubted myself. I would do the power pose and I'm like, I am fucking good. I am amazing. Like talk to myself in a mirror and hold the power pose. And it really made a huge difference. All right. I think this is a good
This is funny.
last question about fake it till you make it.
Perfect question.
I believe in being who I am. Why do people talk about fake it until you make it? That itself is fake. What's your take on it?
Yeah, so great. It's perfect time to answer that question. We're just talking about it. So if the intention is pure, then it's fine, right? If you're coming from a place of love and the intention is pure and you're doing it to help and serve other people, then it's okay. Right? But if the intention is to hurt someone else, then it's not okay. Does that make sense? Right? So if the intention of you telling yourself you are outstanding and you are great, and the sole intention behind that is to get yourself in a more beautiful state so you can do the things that you can love to do, which whether it's serving your family or serving your clients or whatever it is, then it's okay. Right? Yeah.
Great. All right. Isha asks, do you coach one-on-one?
Oh, absolutely.
How do we reach Ajay? Email ID.
Yeah, I'll type it in the box for you.
So Ajay, you do coach one-on-one, correct?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Isha, and I'm actually going to be launching a group coaching soon, but I work on one-on-one coaching and very, very intimate. Like I go right into the deep of the core issue, right? I want to know why you do what you do, what drives you every single day. And a lot of the times it's beliefs that we generate when we're kids, like experiences that happen when we're kids that create these belief systems. So, I specialize in that, going deep into the first time you created that belief about yourself and going back to that experience and changing that belief system and telling yourself what the truth is. And when you're able to change that, some people after 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it opens the door to what's possible. And it's such a beautiful thing.
All right, there is a question, or is that a comment? If someone fakes for a good cause like saving a life, one should do it. Values are not absolute. One must distinguish where the greater good lies. Okay, thank you for that, Sanjay. All right. I think there are more questions coming in. I don't want to take, who are some of, this is the last question and we'll wrap it up with that. Who are some of your mentors or people you look up to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've had many mentors along the way. One is my father. So Neil Gupta, he is someone that I look up to every single day. He's wrote Immediate Happiness. He is such a beautiful, beautiful human being. Tony Robbins obviously is one. Sir Richard Branson is another mentor that I look up to. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is another mentor I look up to. Archbishop Tutu is another person I look up to. Let me see. Those are the main individuals that I look up to. Yeah.
I think that's it. No more questions. We'll wrap it up again. Ajay, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
those
you.
stories. And really, it was so heartfelt. Like we felt. I felt like I was there and I was listening to that. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for. Hopefully some of you are inspired here to take action. Some of you might want to reach out to Ajay to talk a little bit more, but thank you everyone for joining. I hope this was useful for you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday if you're joining our investment webinar, or next Thursday for our usual educational webinar. Again, everyone says thank you, Ajay, for a great evening. Thank you for sharing yourself and sharing your time with us.
Thank you, Kavitha.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kavitha Baratakke. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can get notified of any future videos I upload. I plan to cover a lot of investor education on this channel, and I hope you'll stay with me for it. If you have any feedback on future content you'd like to see me cover, please drop me a note or a comment on my video. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting me.